In early November 1965, the soldiers of the NVA 33rd Regiment that had survived the retreat from Plei Me staggered into the Ia Drang Valley. The men, now organised into a single composite battalion, were soon joined by the multiple battalions of the battered 320th Regiment, which was directed to remain in its staging area south of Luk Siau on the north bank of the Ia Drang. And on November 20th, the fresh 66th Regiment, spoiling for a fight after one of its companies was mauled by the 1st Cavalry Division on November 3rd, would also enter the valley, having journeyed down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The 66th was ordered to move south from its original staging area on the east bank of the Ia Drang to just above Anta village, where the 33rd Regiment was resting. Field fronts had made a decision, and preparations began for another attack on the Special Forces camp at Plei Me, scheduled for November 16th. This time Field Front would dispense with its lure and ambush tactic. Instead it planned to overrun the camp with one concentrated blow, and it would then move on to other targets. As part of the preparations, General Chu Hui Man moved the headquarters of B3 Front, the Highlands Command, to the Chu Pong Massif. Bordering the Ia Drang Valley, the Chu Pong was a mass of limestone mountains, ridges and ravines, its highest peak rising to 2,400 feet. General Giap planned to cut South Vietnam in half. Between October 1965 and April 1966, he would commit 3 North Vietnamese divisions through an axis from Pleiku through An Khe to Quy Nhon. This was the Dong Xuan, or Winter-Spring campaign, its primary aim to conquer the Central Highlands and cause a collapse of resistance in the south. Captain John Pritchard, Brigade Assistant S2, visited 2 Corps and 24th Tactical Zone intelligence officers and talked with Captain Luong of the 2 Corps interrogation team. Luong told Pritchard that several prisoners had informed him that the NVA 66th Regiment was in the Chu Pong area. This information was placed in the brigade's November 11th intelligence summary, and Pritchard personally briefed the brigade commander and his staff. He also placed a red star on the Chu Pongs on the S2 situation map to indicate the presence of the 66th. Major General Harry W. O. Kinnard, Commander 1st Cavalry Division, was satisfied with 1st Brigade's pursuit of the NVA withdrawing from Plei Me. The brigade had engaged a North Vietnamese regular regiment and almost destroyed it, while sustaining moderate casualties, but the brigade was spent. Kinnard replaced it with Colonel Tim Brown's 3rd Brigade. The brigade had 2 assigned battalions, the 1st and 2nd of the 7th Cavalry. 1st Battalion was led by Lieutenant Colonel Harold G. Moore, 2nd Battalion by Lieutenant Colonel Robert McDade. Moore had extensive combat experience in Korea, but McDade had only taken command 1 week before the battalion's deployment to Plei Me, moving from the Division G1 position. Kinnard also added a 3rd Battalion to the brigade, 2nd Battalion 5th Cavalry, led by Lieutenant Colonel Robert Tully. Custer's 7th Cavalry troopers are reputed to have sung Garry Owen, a drinking song once sung by the Irish Lancers, when they rode to the Bighorn in 1876, and 3rd Brigade and its battalions began to refer to themselves as the Garry Owen Brigade. 3rd Brigade would continue to use the 1st Brigade command post, referred to as Stadium, located near the Katika Tea Plantation. Charlie Battery 220 artillery with 12 B-model gunships and a battery of 175mm self-propelled howitzers of 6th Battalion 14th Artillery were also located at Stadium. The last of the 1st Brigade units departed the area of operations on November 12th, as 3rd Brigade's 3 manoeuvre battalions arrived to replace them. Major General Stanley Swede Larson, 2 Corps Commander, his staff, and probably operations and intelligence people at MACV were convinced the NVA had slipped away to the hill country 15 kilometres to the east and south of Plei Me, and Kinnard, acting on orders from Task Force Alpha, instructed Brown to begin his search there. At the Division Forward Command Post, asked by Larson how the search was going, Assistant Division Commander Brigadier General Richard T. Knowles replied that the brigade was drilling a dry hole east of Plei Me. Reminded that the brigade's mission was to find the enemy and go after him, Knowles told Colonel Brown to plan an air assault operation near the foot of the Chu Pongs. Brown also received intelligence on November 12th that enemy forces were in the Ia Drang and Chu Pong area, and he quickly ordered his 3 battalions to deploy near those terrain features by helicopter. Brown assigned the NVA's most likely location, the Chupong Massif and Valley Floor, to 1st Battalion, and told Moore, "We believe there is a regiment of NVA in the area. Find and kill them." The big red star on the G2 and S2 maps was high on Brown's mind, and he warned Moore to keep his rifle companies within close supporting range of each other. Now that Moore knew where Brown wanted his battalion to operate, he would have to select a suitable landing zone. To minimise risk of discovery, Moore passed southeast of the Chupong Massif at 4,500 feet, following a straight line to look south as he searched for a good landing zone. Of the 3 possible landing zones, Tango was too small, Yankee was on sloping ground and could only take 6 to 8 Hueys, while X-Ray was flat and could take 8 Hueys. 1st Squadron, 9th Cavalry Scouts flew their H-13 observation helicopters nap of the Earth through the area, confirming that X-Ray could take up to 10 Hueys. Communications wire was also spotted on a trail to the north, indicating the presence of the enemy and confirming it as the preferred landing zone. Moore issued final orders to company commanders at 8:50 am on the west end of the Plei Me strip. He had already urged company commanders to ensure every rifleman had a basic load of 300 rounds of ammunition, 2 hand grenades, and as much additional ammunition as he could carry. Moore explained the battalion assault into X-Ray. Artillery would fire for 8 minutes on Tango and Yankee for deception, then 20 minutes on X-Ray. This would be followed by 30 seconds of aerial rocket artillery and helicopter gunship preparatory fire. Bravo Company would land first, with Moore's command group, then Alpha, Charlie, and finally Delta. Bravo and Alpha would move northwest, Charlie southwest toward the mountain, while Delta would control all mortars. The reconnaissance and machine gun platoons would be battalion reserve. Delays in positioning the artillery moved touchdown time back from 10:30 am, and then, a choking cloud of red dust enveloping them, 16 Hueys strained to take off, bound for landing zone X-Ray.